Are you wondering which neighborhoods, property types, and tenant profiles give you the highest returns? Well, you're in the right place. You'll learn about the key neighborhoods, the different types of properties, and my favorite type of tenant demographic. Whether you're an experienced investor or somebody who's just starting, from this video, you're going to gain some really valuable insights on how to maximize your returns and avoid any pitfalls. Guelph offers a wide range of different property types, which cater to a diverse group of different tenant profiles. Let's go over my favorite type of tenant profile, students, and why Guelph is ideally set up for student rentals. Guelph being a university town, it's a great opportunity here. 25,000 of the 30,000 students who come here each year live off campus, which means we have extremely high demand for student rental properties, and these properties can provide amazing cash flow opportunities. Personally, I love renting to students. They're my favorite tenant profile for the Guelph real estate market, and the reason being is that one, you get the highest cash flow with students. When you're renting per bedroom, you're going to get much more than renting out the entire home just to a single family. And then students have higher turnover. And a lot of investors will go, well, that's not good. It means I have to re-rent the property more frequently. But what it allows you to do is every year, 2 years, maximum really 3 years that the students are there, you get to re-rent at new market rates, which allows you to keep up. Over the last several years, our rental rates in Guelph have been going through the roof. If you have a tenant that's been in the home for 5, 10 years, you can't keep up with rental market rates based off of the small increases that the government allows us to do. Now, some of the disadvantages with students is that sometimes you do have a little bit more maintenance costs. So when the students leave out, a lot of the times they don't move everything out. So you do have a bit of garbage that you have to clear out. Sometimes you have to do some painting and freshening up. And a lot of investors are really scared that, they're going to have students come in and throw massive parties. And, we've all heard of like the horror stories where there's like 300 kids at a frat party. But what we've found is with students that they're actually, if you do the screening properly, you really can avoid a lot of the issues. And then the other great thing with students is that you usually don't have any issues collecting rent, and you can get parents to guarantor as well. So it's very safe that you're going to actually collect your money, and you're not going to end up in a situation where you've got a tenant in your property not paying rent for 6 months and you can't get them out. So let's dive in and talk about some of the most popular types of properties that really appeal to students, and then the specific neighborhoods that are best for student rentals to ensure that you have maximum occupancy and you get the highest possible rents. So Guelph has a couple of purpose-built student rental buildings. So these are condominium buildings that were actually designed specifically for investors to buy to be able to rent out to students. There's 2 buildings, Solstice 1 and Solstice 2. They're located off of Gordon Street. Fantastic location, direct bus route to the university. The bus comes every 15 minutes and they're close to tons of amenities. Now, what makes these buildings really unique is the actual unit layout. So you've got 4 or 3 bedroom units. They don't have massive common spaces, but the bedrooms are good sizes and each one of them comes with their own ensuite, which is all really important to students. They also have other amenities in the buildings, such as like a study room, games room. You've got a rooftop terrace, security, free Wi-Fi, a gym. So lots of those nice features that students will take advantage of. Now, the benefit to these buildings is they're very, very easy to rent. They're attractive to students, so they have very high occupancy. Also the advantage is if you're a student parent, you know that your kid is staying in a place that's really nice and is safe and has that security feature. Now, the cons with these buildings is that you have a limited tenant profile. They're really only conducive to students. The layouts don't really apply for a family or for a professional couple. So if you ever get in a situation where there's lower student rental demand, then the cash flow for these properties may go down a bit. Also, when you go to sell these properties, the pricing of the properties is really going to be tied to what rental rates are, because they're really only conducive for 2 types of buyers. And one is an investor who's looking for cash flow, and the other is for a student parent who wants to have an investment where their kids can live in a property and go to school and they're going to be in a safe environment. Since these properties are also geared just towards students, it can cause a little bit more complications with financing. Some lenders don't like lending to student rentals, so you may have to pay slightly higher down payment depending on which lender you select. The cash flow on these properties is very good at the current moment just because we have such a high demand for student rentals in the city of Guelph. These buildings are a great option for an investor who's looking for a simple, zero maintenance turnkey investment, which is going to have fantastic occupancy. All right, so I'm going to quickly run through the numbers of one of these units that's currently on the market at 1291 Gordon Street. So the property is currently listed for $629,000. It's one of the 4-bedroom units. So some of the assumptions that I'm going to use for our analysis is a 20% down payment, a 30-year amortization. I'm using interest rate of 4.4%, which is kind of the going rate right now. The taxes for the property are just over $4,000, and insurance, because it's a condo, is pretty low, so you'd be looking at around $500 a year. Your condo fees, in addition to, are $476. And then for monthly utilities, tenants would pay for the utilities, so you wouldn't have to pay that out of pocket. Property like this, you would easily be able to rent for $4,000 a month. So when you run through your mortgage costs and everything like that, you're looking at a positive monthly cash flow of $621 every single month. That works out to a 5.99% cap rate. So pretty good return for a property that you can buy, always have rented out, and you're going to have zero maintenance on. Condo townhouses are also a great option for investors. They appeal to students, especially the ones that are located in close proximity to the University of Guelph. There's some great developments such as 302 College, which is a really popular one. It's got about 214 townhomes in it, and you're located within a few minutes to the university, close to Stone Road Mall with all of the amenities. You're also really close to the Hanlon, which gives you direct access to the 401. What makes these a really good option for investors is, again, they're fairly low maintenance. Like, you don't have to worry about dealing with any of the exterior maintenance of the home, and they tend to rent fairly easily. You're looking at 3 to 4 bedrooms per unit. If you're renting it out to students, you're going to want to go for a 4-bedroom one, or one that you can add the 4-bedroom in to make sure that you get enough cash flow. The other big advantage for these style of properties is that you can rent to students, but you don't have to rent to students. You can rent to families, you can rent to professional couples. And then when you go to sell these, there's a lot larger of a buyer pool. You don't have to just sell this to an investor. It can go to a first-time buyer, it can go to a family. So there's a lot of different people that will buy it. So your price of the home is gonna not just be dictated by rental amounts, it'll also be dictated by just demand for housing at that specific time. Some of the disadvantages is you do have condo fees, so that will eat in a bit to your monthly cash flow. And because you're in a condo development, you don't have as much freedom as you would with a freehold property, so you can't add additional units. You don't have a ton of outdoor space to be able to expand. So, what you get is kind of what you get. You can improve the interior to help force appreciation, but you don't have as much leeway or opportunity as you would with freehold options. So I'll run you through the numbers for one of these properties. This condo townhouse is currently listed at $679,900. Some of the assumptions, so again, we'll go with a 20% down payment, 30-year AM, 4.4% interest rate. Your taxes are $3,866 per year. Insurance for this, again, it's condominium, so it'll be a bit higher than the condo style, but still is going to be lower than freehold. So you're probably around $700 yearly. Utilities would be at the tenant's expense, and then your condo fees are $340 per month. So again, this you would be able to rent for about $4,000 a month. So you're still looking at positive cash flow of about $555 per month. You're not as high as what you would be for the purpose-built student house. So you're at a bit lower of a cap rate at 5.79, still a great cap rate. Anything over 5 is really good. And where you have some additional benefits for this type of property is you could see more appreciation, especially if the housing market just takes off. You could end up selling this to a family or a professional couple who's going to be willing to pay a premium and doesn't really care about it cash flowing. So freehold townhouses are also a good option for student rentals. Now, the pros of freehold is obviously you do not have the monthly condo fee, so that doesn't eat into your cash flow. However, you do have then the properties to maintain, and freehold townhouses tend to be more expensive. There are lots of detached house options in Guelph. We have lots of homes that are 4 or 6 bedroom properties in great locations to be able to rent out to students. The benefit of renting out to a detached or using a detached home for student rental is the fact that you have a lot more freedom. You can add additional rooms, you can make multiple units, and in Guelph now on any residential single family lot, you can now actually add up to 3 units. So for these properties, you can add additional cash flow by building accessory dwelling units at the back of the property and building accessory apartments within them, allowing you to further increase the values of those properties. Now, there's certain areas in Guelph that are pretty heavily student rental dominated streets. There's some benefits to these. First of all, you're not going to have as many complaints as a landlord because a lot of the other occupants on the street are also renting. The disadvantage is sometimes the upkeep isn't there with all of the properties on the street, which then can make the properties a little more challenging to sell down the road to a family who wants to occupy them. When looking for a detached house, the number of bedrooms obviously is going to be very important. The more bedrooms you can rent out, the higher your cash flow is going to be if you're renting to students. And the interesting thing that you want to look for is how many bedrooms did the original house have? So for example, if a house was originally a 6-bedroom or a 4-bedroom up and then 2 bedrooms were put down in the basement, you can legally rent that house out to 6 different students without having to qualify it as a lodging house. Now, where you can run into issues is if you all of a sudden take a 3-bedroom house and then turn the dining room into a bedroom or the extra living room into a bedroom. That's when, as soon as you cross the 4-bedroom threshold, the city's going to come in and likely going to want you to qualify as a lodging. So if you're looking for these types of properties, ones that originally have lots of bedrooms or ones that have unfinished basements where you can go in and add bedrooms without modifying the layout, these ones are by far your best bang for your buck. So I'll run the numbers for this property. This is in the Dovercliff area. So this property is a detached house, 5-bedroom home, so 3 up, 2 down. It's listed at $724,900. Some of the assumptions that we'll run through here: 20% down, 30-year amortization, 4.4% interest rate. Your taxes for this property are $4,051. Insurance is going to be higher because it is detached and it's student. So you're looking at probably about $2,500 a year in insurance. Utilities you would rent in addition to. And looking at rents for this, you'd easily be able to get $5,000 a month for this. So you're looking at positive cash flow of $1,550 a month. That's a 7.37% cap rate. Like anything over 5 is good. Anything over 6 is great. Once you're breaking 7, that's phenomenal. So this is a really, really great investment option. So some of the best neighborhoods to buy if you're looking to rent to students, there's going to be Courtright West, Dovercliff, and Old University. Also looking, if you go a bit further south, Pine Ridge and Westminster Woods are great neighborhoods for more mature students. There's lots of good condo buildings in those neighborhoods. Those ones you can also rent to commuters, young professionals, families, basically anyone. Courtright West is probably the most popular if you are going to be a student investor. And main reason, you've got lots of detached houses in that area that do have lots of bedrooms. And you're very close to the university. So it's the closest neighborhood to the University of Guelph. You've got direct bus routes throughout the entire neighborhood. You're also right along where Stone Road Mall is, which has all of the restaurants, shopping, amenities. So it's a really convenient location for students. There's also lots of beautiful trails, parks, great schools, and it's got a good mix of rental properties as well as family homes, which allows you, when you go to sell this investment down the road, you're not going to be pigeonholed to just selling it to an investor. It could easily sell to a family as well. So next I'll jump into Dovercliff and Old University. These are kind of classified through the real estate board as the same neighborhood, but they're actually very different. So I'm going to talk about them separately. First, I'll talk about Old University. So this neighborhood is one of, actually, it's a premium neighborhood in Guelph. It's one of the most expensive per square foot. It's located right in between the University of Guelph and downtown, making it a very, very desirable location. In this neighborhood, you've got a mix of old century homes and then 1960s bungalows, and then some new infill projects. The beautiful thing about this location is that you're so close to all of the amenities. You get extremely good rents, and there's some good options. There's some homes with lots of bedrooms and then lots of bungalows that you can duplex on large lots where you could add additional ADUs. So it's a really good area to invest in, to be able to get very high rent. You're gonna have like zero occupancy issues, and you should have above average appreciation throughout this neighborhood as well. When you go to sell, you can sell to a family, you can sell to another investor. So there's lots of different options here. Talking about the Dovercliff neighborhood, it's a little bit further from the university. It's just on the other side of the Hanlon Expressway, but it still has direct bus routes going to the university every 15 minutes. So very easy for students to access the university. You've got lower priced homes in this neighborhood, lots of 1960s, 70s, 80s homes, bungalows, back splits, really great properties that are easy to divide up. And again, decent sized lots, a lot of, 50 by 120 lots. So there's room for expansion with these properties as well. Pine Ridge and Westminster Woods is again one of the premium areas in Guelph. It's considered the south end of Guelph. Here you have tons of condo buildings as well as townhouses, which are really great for student rentals. Most of the properties in this area have been constructed within the last 15 to 20 years. So fairly new construction, really low maintenance, which is nice, turnkey, easy solutions for landlords. You have tons of amenities on Clare Road, so lots of restaurants, banks, you name it, gyms, movie theaters. You're also really good location as far as proximity to the 401. You're about 10 minutes from the 401, making it very easy for students, who are coming in and out, or parents visiting. And then from a resale perspective, it's a really nice neighborhood. You've got great schools. You've got the potential to sell to families as well, or to sell to other investors. So you're going to see good appreciation here as well. Renting to students in Guelph offers investors with the opportunity to receive some excellent returns. However, renting to students isn't going to be for everybody. So what about the other types of tenant profiles? Stay tuned for my next video, part 2, where I'm going to go over renting to professionals as well as families. You won't want to miss it.